Alright, I want to talk to you a little bit about shading and blending. I want to basically show you the difference between shading and blending. It's not going to be a long video because this concept is not really complicated. So first I'm going to just show you about what shading is all about. Anytime you want to shade anything, now I'm going to draw a representation maybe of a tree trunk right here. Try to darken it up just a little bit so you can actually see it a little bit better. I'm actually using a B pencil here to do this with. And we're going to represent our light coming from the left side of this tree trunk right here, okay? We're going to start out with a light shading. And anytime you shade anything, whether you intend to make it a dark shade, you still always want to go from light to dark, because you may change your mind and you may decide you need it lighter instead of darker. It's always complicated to go from a dark value to a lighter value. It can be done with the eraser, but sometimes, it may mess up your paper and it may not look right. So to save yourself some time and heartache, just always start light and then go dark. Alright, now here's a very light shade that I've laid down here, and this is representing our light source on the tree trunk. Now this area right here is basically in a shaded area, in a darker area. Could be a tree out in the woods or in the front yard, but there's more shade on this side because of the light source is just hitting the left side here. So to get your darker value for your shadows, all you have to do is just press down just a little more. And that's basically what the concept of shading is just using darker values versus the lighter values. See how I have now here the dark value on the right side here. Got a dark value here to represent the shadow, got a lighter value here to represent where the light's hitting. And these actually can be blended together. I would blend this together on a regular drawing, but this is basically what shading is, okay? It's just basically using a lighter value of shade and versus a darker value of shade. So shading is just a very simple concept. You can go from dark to light, or you can go from light to dark, either way. And so that's what shading is all about. And another form of shading is basically, if you were drawing some clouds and I wanted my cloud to go from a dark value to a lighter value. See how I'm laying down a dark value of shade here? So now I want the right side of this cloud to actually become lighter, and by doing that you just relieve some of the pressure, and you just don't put as much pressure on, as you begin to shade. You just begin to shade a lighter value. And that's basically what shading is going from a darker value to a lighter value, and that's basically what it is. So when it comes to the terms of blending, let's go back to this tree trunk that I did. See, you have the darker value and the lighter values here on this tree trunk. So but basically all blending is I can take my tissue, or you can use a blending stump or whatever you choose to use, and you can just actually blend these two shades of graphite together. I'm just going down the middle where they join together. See how I'm just kind of blending the graphite a little bit. You actually would want to blend the whole picture drawing. When you get into the blending techniques, it really makes your drawings become, more lifelike. See how I've actually blended that? I've blended that whole trunk, and it gives you, you have your dark representation of your shadow here, and you still have your lightness where the sunlight is representing coming from the left side over here. And so that's the difference between shading and blending. Shading is just laying down the graphite from a dark value to a lighter value, just such as this little cloud texture is here. And then blending is just basically blending it all together. You're blending your darker value that you've laid down, and then you're actually taking and you're blending your lighter value of shade. So just to recap, and just so you understand, it's a real simple process. Basically, all shading is going from a darker value to a lighter value, or from a lighter value to a darker value. That's basically what shading is. And blending is basically when you blend the graphite, because see, if I didn't blend this graphite, let's do another little tree trunk area here. If I didn't really blend this graphite, this time I'm going to make the light source come from the right side just for this example. See, if I just didn't blend that graphite, I mean, that doesn't look real bad on smaller areas, but when you blend the graphite, it makes it look a whole lot better, a whole lot more realistic. See how the values change when you blend that? And the tree trunk here, the bigger tree trunk as well. So that's what blending is. Blending is just taking the hardness of the graphite that you've drawn and making it smooth. And that's basically what blending is. So just to do a quick recap, shading is going from a darker value to a lighter value, or you can go from a lighter value to a darker value, and that's what shading is. Blending is just basically smoothing out the graphite. Once you use a blender and you can still smooth your graphite out using your whatever blending tool you use, you still have the values that you've shaded originally. You still have your darker value and your lighter value. You're just taking the roughness of the graphite and just smoothing it out and making it real smooth and making your drawings look more realistic. So that's basically the basic concepts of shading and blending. It's real easy. So get you out some a pencil and paper, and then just practice your dark values and going from your darker value to your lighter value. Practice those shading techniques, and then take a Q-tip or a tissue and then just practice blending those. Now, you don't want to get rough and hard when you're blending. You want to be easy when you're blending. Just take and go very lightly on your drawing. You know, just it'll blend. You know, you don't have to really press down and get real hard with it. It will really blend. Just like I said, when you're drawing, you want to always start out light with a light shade and then go to a darker shade. Well, that's the same way with blending. You want to start out with a softer touch, not a lot of pressure, because there might be some areas you might just want blending just a little bit, and some you may want blending a little bit more. But practice your shading and your blending techniques, and then when you feel comfortable and have gotten those down pretty good, then move on to the next module. Thank you very much.